A stunning reversal of fortunes in Canada's historic election. At a rally in London, Ontario, on Friday, the crowd booed as Mark Carney delivered his core campaign line about the existential threat Canada faces from its neighbor. "President Trump is trying to break us so that America could own us," the Liberal leader warned. "Never," supporters shouted back. Many waved Canadian flags taped to ice hockey sticks. Similar levels of passion were also on display at the Union Hall, where Pierre Poilievre greeted enthusiastic supporters in the Toronto area earlier in the week. The Conservative leader has drawn large crowds to rallies across the country, where "Bring It Home" is a call to arms, both to vote for a change of government and a nod to the wave of Canadian patriotism in the face of U.S. tariff threats. In the final hours of a 36-day campaign, Donald Trump's shadow looms over everything. The winner of Monday's election is likely to be the party able to convince voters they have a plan for how to deal with the U.S. president. National polls suggest the Liberals have maintained a narrow lead entering last stretch. Still, Trump is not the only factor at play. He was only mentioned once in Poilievre's stump speech. The Conservative leader has focused more on voters disaffected by what he calls a lost Liberal decade, promising change from a government he blames for the housing shortage and a sluggish economy, and for mishandling social issues like crime and the fentanyl crisis. His pitch resonates with voters like Eric and Carrie Gionnet from Barrie, Ontario. They have 2 daughters in their mid-20s, and said they were attending their first ever political rally. "We're pretty financially secure, but I worry about them," said Eric Gionnet. While he and his wife could buy their first home while young, he said, "There's no prospect their children will be able to do the same." "I'm excited to be here," said Carrie Gionnet. "I'm hopeful." Tapping into voter frustration has helped opposition parties sweep governments from power in democracies around the world. Canada seemed almost certain to follow suit. Last year, the Conservatives held a 20-point lead in national polls over the governing Liberals for months. Poilievre's future as the country's next prime minister seemed baked in. Then a series of shockwaves came in quick succession at the start of 2025, upending the political landscape. Justin Trudeau's resignation, Carney's subsequent rise to Liberal leader and prime minister, and the return of Trump to the White House with the threats and tariffs that followed. By the time the election was called in mid-March, Carney's Liberals were polling neck and neck with the Conservatives, and by early April they had pulled slightly ahead, national surveys suggest. It has been a stunning reversal of fortunes. Seemingly dead and buried, the Liberals now believe they could win a 4th successive election, and even a majority in Parliament. Carney is pitching himself as the man most ready to meet this critical moment, a steady central banker who helped shepherd Canada's economy through the 2008 financial crisis and later, the UK through Brexit. For Conservative voter Gwendolyn Slover, 69, from Summerside in the province of Prince Edward Island, his appeal is baffling. "Many people think Mark Carney is some kind of messiah," she said. "It's the same party, he's one person, and he's not going to change anything." For Carney's supporters, they see a strong CV and a poise that has calmed their anxieties over Trump's threats of steep tariffs and repeated suggestions the country should become the 51st U.S. state, though the president has been commenting less frequently on Canada during the campaign. "I'm very impressed by the stability and the serious thought process of Mark Carney," said Mike Brennan from Kitchener, Ontario, as he stood in line to meet the Liberal leader at a coffee shop in Cambridge, about an hour outside Toronto. Mr. Brennan is a lifelong Liberal who did not initially plan to vote for the party in this election because of his dislike for Trudeau. The departure of former Prime Minister Trudeau, who had grown increasingly unpopular over his decade in power, released a massive pressure valve, said Shachi Cole, president of the Angus Reid Institute, a non-profit public opinion research organization. All of these angry Liberals who are either parking their votes with the left-wing NDP or parking their votes with the Conservatives start recoalescing, she said. Then more disaffected Liberals and other progressive voters began to migrate towards Carney's Liberals, driven by Trump, this election's main character, Ms. Cole said. The threats, the annexation talk, all of that has been a huge motivator for left-of-center voters. It has worked to Carney's advantage, with Trump's tariffs threats giving the political neophyte, he is the first prime minister never to have held elected public office, the chance to publicly audition to keep his job during the campaign. Trump's late March announcement of global levies on foreign automobile imports allowed Carney to step away from the trail and take on the prime minister's mantle, setting up a call with the president, and meeting U.S. cabinet ministers. He's never been tested in a grueling federal election campaign. With its relentless travel, high-pressure demands for retail politics and daily media scrutiny. Yet on the campaign trail, and in the high-stakes debate with party leaders, he is considered to have performed well. Poilievre, in contrast, is a veteran politician and polished performer. But on the shifting political ground, conservatives appeared to struggle to find their footing, pivoting their message from Canada being broken to Canada first. Poilievre had to fend off criticism from political rivals that he is Trump-light, with his combative style, his vows to end woke ideology, and willingness to take on the global elite. "I have a completely different story from Donald Trump," he has said.